Steppenwolf's Lookout series celebrates the return of its curatorial residency program. I love the Lookout series. It's such a cool, it's in the 1700 space
it's a great
in
space.
Steppenwolf.
Yeah.
It's an intimate venue, and you get to see some of the most interesting and like hot artists in this great venue. And celebrated drag artist and self-proclaimed Bollywood Barbie, Abhijeet, is one of the creative forces behind Dream Devies, a queer celebration of the feminine archetype in Indian cinema and an exploration of worshipping and being worshipped. And joining us now is none other than Abhijeet. Welcome to the show.
Hi there, how are you doing?
We are doing great. How are you doing? Congratulations.
I'm so good. Thank you so much. I'm very excited for this to premiere next week.
I know. I'm so very excited because you have Bollywood, you have drag, two things I love coming together. How did Dream Devies come about?
Yeah, so me and I have a tight group of South Asian friends in Chicago, and the group was sitting together, and I just got in the email being offered like a curatorial residency at Steppenwolf, and I looked around the room and I was like, what if we did something together? Like, we all love watching movies together. We all have like our own unique experiences to these movies, to these heroines, to these women as like queer and trans people. What if we did something that like explored that and, like really let us like come together and, show our perspective of these films. And it kind of just like snowballed from there and turned into Dream Devies. We're super excited for it. It's some of like our favorite actresses through our lens and our relationship to them. Something that we've been kind of talking about is like a byline to it. This is like, it's a love letter to the women in these movies and the women that they've given birth to, which is us.
Oh, fabulous. Yeah, you were just sitting there, and the way you just described, like, I got an email and I looked around and saw my people. Like, how wonderful to have a community of creative folks just to be like, hey, you want to do this? Like, let's do it. And just to create something is, again, I'm going to keep showing my gay theater roots. I keep going back to Rent, but the one line, the opposite of war isn't peace, it's creation. And there's something really great about creating something right now. What was your process as you were, trying to figure out exactly what you wanted to say with Dream Devies?
Yeah, so one of my really close friends, Leha, who's my main collaborator on this, I like to call her a Bollywood encyclopedia because if there's a movie or a music video, she's seen it and she knows the exact timestamps that you're thinking of. So we were talking through this, and we kind of developed this whole like a through line for it, where we start from like the ingenue, explore the rule breaker, the mother, the vamp, the superhumans, and it's kind of just like taking these like tropes that you'll see across Indian cinema and really like digging deep into like why they were attractive to us as children and what they mean to us now as adults.
Abhijeet, now for those that are not as schooled on Bollywood, what films would you recommend for people to check out to give them a nice understanding and appreciation?
Yeah, so it's a whole world of cinema, a whole world of different languages. Like my movie right now that I would recommend people watch is Rocky Aur Rani Ki Prem Kahani. It's just a big Bollywood movie, colorful videos, large costumes, beautiful sets. It's just like fully immersive. But if you really want a taste of like Indian cinema spanning across from like north to south, east to west, you should come to Dream Devies.
Okay,
yes,
there you go.
100%.
Cover it all right there.
So, it's so funny just listening to, you're talking about like what was so appealing about these women, and it makes me think of, I'm totally throwing my husband under the bus right here and revealing a secret. He, as a child, we grew up in the 70s, and as a child, there was disaster movies, like Towering Inferno and Poseidon Adventure and all this stuff. He used to go into his mom's closet, get her fancy like cocktail dresses, and then go lay on her bed and hold on to the brass railing like he was in the Poseidon upside down, and be a lady in peril. Like that was one of his, like he loved to do that, just be dressed up in this fabulous dress, pretending he was upside down in a boat. What was it for you that was so appealing to these women?
Yeah, and I think it's like something that like I feel like a lot of queer children have, right? Like where we see like women in cinema as like something that's like so like it's so appealing because they're always like the crux of a story, and it's something that like we kind of see in ourselves, like we, whether we know it or not at the time, like we know that we're like slightly different from other people. We know that like we imagine ourselves as like main characters, which, you know, for better or worse is like how I am right now too. And we kind of place ourselves into these archetypes. Like we see ourselves as the ingenue. We see ourselves as like the vamp. Like there's a reason why like we love these like these big moments in cinema across the world. And like you mentioned, like, you know, like I've raided my mom's closet as a child very happily to like recreate moments that I enjoyed in a movie.
Right? Yeah,
and I feel like that's such a universal experience.
Yeah, I think it is, especially for little gay boys. Sorry.
So, I get the feeling that drag culture in India, in South Asia, is differently accepted than it is here in the United States. So is that true, or what do you notice? What's the differences in the two cultures?
Yeah. So it's definitely a very different landscape. India more recently has had an extremely budding nightlife scene that's like filled with drag as well. It's popular in a lot of really big cities, and it's coming up, and it's a complete force to be reckoned with on its own over there. I feel like drag and nightlife in the U.S. and in the West has like, you know, a very, very close ties to like queer liberation. And I think it's like for me, it's like looking at both of those aspects. You know, like I have a cultural connection to something. I have like a connection to my hometown. And then while in Chicago and in the U.S., there's like also there's such a political force attached to it. Like, you know, it's about having a platform and a voice too, and what you do to express with that.
Mm-hmm. How did you get into what was your entree into the drag world?
Other than your mother's closet.
Right.
Well, that was definitely the early start to it. But I first saw live drag in Chicago. Me and my drag sister, Jay for Pay, we just went out to the club. We saw an amateur performance and looked at each other and said, should we do this next week? And it kind of just started from there. And for me, it was definitely a journey. I'm not afraid to admit that it was a couple of years of being very how to put it politely, not beautiful until one day I was.
A lot of experimentation.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. So you had to find your drag persona. Well, maybe I'm putting words into it. Did you find like a drag persona that has come out, or was that the evolution along with the look? Because I know like beating out a mug is a hard thing to do, and it takes practice and time, but also just cultivating the persona. Mm-hmm. What was that?
Yeah, for sure. I think for me, like, my drag persona is just like an amplified and larger version of who I am. It's definitely like way more louder and expressive and extroverted. And I think it's just like a really fun channel to express that side of me too.
I'm fascinated by drag. I would love to do drag, but I am not a pretty lady.
Oh, I don't know about that.
I look like a Slavic Betty Page. It's what happens. I'm a big guy.
It's in the eye of the beholder.
That is true. That is true. Thank you so much.
Yes, that's true.
But you have several beautiful collaborators that are working with you, and the show Dream Devies is being touted is like a one of a kind theatrical drag spectacle. How did you work with your community, your people? That's how, whenever I describe my time, like with About Face Theater, I'm like, these are my people. It's my creative family. How did you work? Like, what was your process to come together to create this show?
Yeah, so like I was saying, the first day when I got the email, we just all happened to be together, and I looked around the room and I was like, we have such a diverse skill set. Like, in the room there were 3 drag performers, there was a writer, there was a singer, and there was a DJ. And I looked around and I was like, this is all you need to put together a show.
Yeah.
And we kind of just played to everyone's strengths. So DJ Ria is creating our soundscape for the thing. We have Shruti Kanan, who's a Carnatic singer, and she's going to be singing live during the show as the archetype of the nightingale, or the playback singer in Bollywood. We have Masala and Gulabi Sapphire, who are both drag queens, and they'll be taking on various roles with me. And then my friend Leha, who is a writer, has kind of built out this script in each of the archetype stories.
Ah, I'm so excited. Now, Talk to me about, let's talk about looks, because that's one thing that is very challenging, I think, for the drag world. With the increased popularity with Drag Race, RuPaul's Drag Race and all that stuff, the expectations are high. How did you work with a designer, or are you a true drag spirit? I will put together my own look. I will create something. Let's talk fashions. What you gonna look like? I'm so excited.
Yeah. So if you think the pressure to look good because of RuPaul's Drag Race is high, the pressure to look good because of Bollywood is even higher.
I know. Oh gosh.
Get that right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so luckily we're doing a mix of where we're pulling from our wardrobe. We're working ourselves to create some new costumes. We're working with a lot of different collaborators who are making costumes for the show, and we just heard back from a small business in the Chicago suburbs that's willing to rent us some Indian bridal wear to wear during the show.
Fabulous. That's amazing. So what do you hope folks take away after they come and they've experienced Dream Devies that runs April 4th through the 13th at Steppenwolf?
I think I'm really excited for people to get either reacclimated to Bollywood from a queer perspective, or just get their first taste of that genre and that language, and just join us, because what we're trying to do here is we want to showcase our love of these women in a universal way. And I'm sure that anyone, even if they've never watched international cinema, will relate to these tropes, to these women, and why we worship them, and what it means to be worshipped as performers on a stage.
Beautiful. I cannot wait to show up and worship all of you at Dream Devies, curated by Abhijeet. It runs April 4th through the 13th at Steppenwolf 1700 Theater. For more information and for tickets, go to steppenwolf.org. Abhijeet, thank you so much for joining us today, and break legs as you are heading towards this beautiful Bollywood opening.
Thank you so much, and thank you for having me.